Hi, everyone. My name is Samantha, and I'm pleased to be your host for today's FCAD Choose Your Own Experience session as part of Ryerson's March Virtual Open House, which is taking place from March 15th to the 20th and 22nd to the 26th. There are many sessions taking place across these 2 weeks, so we encourage you to visit our website and register for any other session that may interest you. But thanks so much for joining us today. Here at Ryerson, we are a diverse community providing a space that is welcoming and open to everyone. Next slide, please. Now to start, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the land. So Ryerson and Toronto are in the Dish with One Spoon territory. The Dish with One Spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. Subsequent Indigenous nations and peoples, Europeans, and all newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. Next slide, please. Now I'd like to share a few Zoom housekeeping tips before we get started. So we are mindful of security concerns while using this platform. So if there are any major disruptions that interrupts the host's ability to keep control of the Zoom platform, we will be asking everyone to log off immediately. We encourage respectful dialogue in the chat function of Zoom at all times, and we absolutely encourage you to ask as many questions as you'd like during today's session. Behind the scenes, we have a number of faculty members, staff members, admissions officers and recruitment officers, program experts, as well as current students. So feel free to ask as many questions as you'd like. To ask your questions, you're going to be using the Q&A pod. And to access that pod, all you have to do is click on the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom window, which will activate the dialog window, and you can type your questions throughout the presentation. If you're having any audio or video issues, feel free to flag it in the Q&A pod, and one of our staff members will assist you with that. You may rearrange your screen in any way that works best for you. And please note that rearranging your screen does not impact the way that others are viewing this presentation. This session is also offered with closed captioning using Zoom's live captioning feature. So if you'd like to turn this on, all you have to do is click the live transcript available button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And you are also able to move the text box around the screen to whatever way suits you best. Now, we would like to address some of the common questions we are receiving right now, and we hope this information might be helpful to you. First question, when will I hear a decision? So Ryerson releases decisions on a rolling basis. We continue to review applications on an ongoing basis, so be sure to keep checking into your Choose Ryerson portal page for any and all updates to your application status. I've received an offer, but when is the deadline to accept, and how do I accept my offer? So the deadline to accept your offer will be indicated in your offer letter that will show up in your Choose Ryerson portal page. For high school students, students are normally required to accept their offer before June 8th, and you'll be able to do so using the OUAC and your OUAC account. Will classes be in person or online for the upcoming fall semester? So the impact of COVID-19 is ongoing, and the university's priority does remain the health and safety of our community. Looking towards the 2021-2022 academic cycle, the university has been actively planning possible future scenarios, and we will continue to provide updates on our COVID-19 information and updates page, which is ryerson.ca/COVID-19. Ryerson is currently operating on an essential services model on our campus. We are optimistic that we will be able to safely open campus in some degree this fall for in-person labs, small classes, and extracurricular activities. And it is our goal to provide a thorough update by June the 9th so that students and faculty have time to prepare for the fall semester and what that looks like. And lastly, for the non-applicable message in your Choose Ryerson portal page for transcripts for OUAC 101 applicants. If you're seeing the non-applicable message beside your high school in the Choose Ryerson portal page, please note that Ontario high school students aren't required to submit transcripts through the portal. We will receive your grades through the OUAC. That's a lot of talking from me. So now I'd like to take a moment to get to know who is joining us today a little bit better. So I've just launched a poll and we are wondering who is joining us today. Are you a current applicant for fall of 2021? Perhaps you're a prospective student who might be applying to us sometime in the future. Maybe you're one of the amazing university or college transfer students that make up a vibrant part of our Ryerson community. Maybe you're a parent, a guardian, or a supporter, or perhaps you're a teacher or a counselor looking to get some more information. Gonna leave the poll open for just a couple more seconds as these answers filter on through, and we're going to end the poll now. And let's share those results. So it looks like the majority of folks joining us today are current applicants for fall of 2021. So again, keep checking into your Choose Ryerson portal page for updates on your application if you haven't heard back. There is a group of prospective applicants though, or prospective students. So welcome. We hope you find some of the information today super valuable when you're trying to figure out if we're the best fit. And for anyone else, such as our university or college transfer students, we welcome you to today's session as well. So I'm not going to take up any more time of today's session. Instead, I will be passing things off to Jackie from the Faculty of Communication and Design to let you know how today's session is going to run. So take it away, Jackie.
All right. Thank you so much, Sam. Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. If I've seen you before, because a lot of you are actual current applicants, welcome back. So good to see you. For new faces, welcome. We have a jam-packed session for you today, and I guarantee you're not going to hear a lot from me. So I do want to jump right into today's session. I do want to play a quick video for everyone, just so you know a little bit more about FCAD, the Faculty of Communication and Design at Ryerson. So here we go.
In a world where the future is creative, there is one place that defines, disrupts, and empowers creativity. For 70 years, Ryerson's FCAD, in the heart of downtown Toronto, has been shaping the next generation of creators with authentic and innovative voices to become market-ready and seamlessly engage directly with creative industries around the world in life-changing and game-changing careers. 23-degree programs, visionary educators, hands-on masterclasses with icons, and global industry relationships that offer real-time innovation. FCAD produces in-demand and industry-ready graduates. FCAD is a place where everything you thought was creative is reimagined every day. FCAD, Ryerson University, the future of creativity.
All right, so if that didn't excite you, then hopefully today's session, where you get to meet a lot of the students as well as faculty and staff, will actually get you excited about these programs and the community that you'll be joining. So as Sam said, I will be today's host, and I will be remaining in this main room today. We have a lot of people behind the scenes, and we have a huge panel of current students to answer some of your questions, and you do get to interact with them. So please feel free to type questions throughout, and we'll either address them during the panel or after at the very end of today's session. All right, so before we jump into all of this, I am going to give you a little bit of an intro to today's itinerary. So I will be going over a little bit about FCAD, and then we're going to show you how you can actually meet the faculty, staff, and students. We do have a number of interactive sessions planned for those of you who are or who have applied to interior design, film, photography, creative industries. Please stay in this room. We do have programming happening for you in this room. Everybody else, you'll go into other Zoom rooms, and I'm going to show you how. All right, so just a brief intro to FCAD, the Faculty of Communication and Design. We are one of 7 faculties here in Ryerson. We have 9 different schools with over 26 different programs, both at the undergraduate level and at the graduate level. We are at the center of media and creative invention. A lot of people come to us to learn and to actually revolutionize the industries. We are home to top programs in journalism, fashion, media, film, photography, performance, interior design, and home to unique programs like professional communication, professional music, creative industries, and graphic communications management. And you'll get to interact with people from these programs today. You actually have access, as an FCAD student, you will have access to a creative ecosystem aimed at letting you explore creativity through technology, entrepreneurship, research, and a lot of experiential learning opportunities. This is actually where you come to learn from, work with, and collaborate with industry and global partners all around the world. FCAD is all about helping you develop your authentic voice to reimagine, reshape, and rebuild our industries. And if you didn't catch all of that, because I am going really quick, I do have another video for you.
FCAD, the Faculty of Communication and Design at Ryerson University. A world of creativity and innovation is just around the corner, and we can't wait for you to meet our vibrant community of thinkers, storytellers, and makers. Did you know FCAD is one of the only schools around the world that has an industrial-sized robotic arm? But you might be thinking, why would a creative school need a robotic arm? Let me show you. To us, creativity is about problem solving. It's about looking at things from different perspectives, experimenting, creating, and yes, even failing. Because failing means that we are learning from our mistakes, progressing, and building our understanding of how the world works. From human-robot dance performances to 3D printing and sculpting, we contribute our knowledge, skills, and creativity to better society. And it's not just robotic arms. Virtual and augmented reality helps our journalists experience storytelling in new ways. Pepper, our humanoid robot, teaches us how to better communicate healthcare information to the public. And pandemic, that won't stop us. From Discord and Twitch to international exchanges online, our students reimagine creativity to make the impossible possible. And if seeing what creativity means isn't enough, here, try listening for just a sec. Soon, you too will develop your authentic voice through FCAD's world-class creative ecosystem and emerge as a leader in the creative and cultural industries. You are the future of creativity.
All right, so that video was freshly made, hot off the press. It was actually created, all of the footage was actually created by our students, and this video was actually created by one of our students as well. So this is the type of community that you're joining. It's filled with creativity and energy. So we're so excited to have you here. So right now, what I do want to show you is how today's session is going to happen. So as you can see here, I will show you the website very soon. But we do have interactive sessions planned throughout, and you will be coming in and out of this main room. So performance students, you are actually being called away at 3:30, and Alexa will be sending links to you at that time in the chat so that you can click. Once you do click on these links, just know that in Zoom, you'll get a pop-up that says you'll leave this meeting. Just click OK, and it'll transport you into those Zoom rooms. So don't click away just yet. We'll let you know when. For journalism, you're actually leaving us at 4:15 to join a session. Again, for interior design, film photography, as well as creative industries, please stay in this room because we have a lot of programming ready for you today, including a 360 tour. All right, so without further ado, I do want to show you how to navigate today's session through our website. Where did you all go? There you go. So we actually have a website, a microsite created just for you. And again, if somebody can paste it into the chat for everyone, you can actually see what's going to happen and how to actually access these different rooms. So on this website, welcome to FCAD Virtual Open House. You'll see that you can actually see the full schedule that's happening with the different times, and these will actually take you to your virtual rooms. So again, don't click away just yet. The first room is being called away at about 3:30, and that's for performance students. And so once you click on these, it'll take you down to this area. Virtual reception is for creative industries, film photography, and interior design. And then everybody else, performance, you'll see that you're being called away at 3:30. Again, if you miss the queue, Alexa will be pasting it in the chat for you. graphic communications management, you're actually going to be chatting with Dr. Martin Habcoast, who is one of your first year professors. He's going to be showing you a lot of the cool interactive work that you'll be doing and chatting with some of his students. For professional communication, just click join room. Again, you'll get a pop-up message in Zoom saying that you'll be leaving this room. That's totally okay. Just click OK, and it'll take you over to chat with professional communication. So you can see and explore all of these interactive sessions for you here today. If you have any questions, please come back to this main room. And how do you do that? You can actually just click on virtual reception. I'm reception, and of course, our team behind the scenes is also our reception. So if you have any questions on how to get back here, just go to our website and click on virtual reception. We'll be here to help throughout all of the programming. One of our assistants on the back end will provide you with some support. All right. So at this point, before we actually go into our different sessions, do we have all of our participants here for the panel or no? Let me double check. So we might actually be waiting for a little bit. So if we have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat. Maybe what I can do is actually go through some of the different programming that's happening. So for performance, you're actually going to be whisked away, and you'll be seeing some behind the scenes work from their team. For GCM, as I mentioned, you're going to be hearing from Dr. Martin Habcoast, and he'll be showing you some of the work that you'll do in first year. For professional communication, you have a very interactive session here where, again, they'll show you some of the work that's happening in CMN 210, which is one of the courses that you'll take. And you'll be chatting with 3 of the first year students. For professional music, Noah Schwartz will be taking you on a guided tour of our facilities, which is really cool. Again, for interior design, film, photo, and creative industry students, we'll do our own 360 tour here. For fashion students, the Fashion Course Union is welcoming you to their session where you'll actually play a little game. And I hear that they actually have prizes for you. For new media, you're actually going to be doing an interactive session with one of their staff members. And I believe it's about analog coding. Yep, analog coding activities. So that's going to be really interesting for you. For journalism students, you're actually meeting with Adrian Ma, one of the professors in the School of Journalism, and he'll be showing you some of the student work that you'll be able to do once you're here at Ryerson. For RTA media production, as well as sport media, you'll actually be joining a discussion about virtual and online learning, and they'll get hands-on as well, so you'll get to interact with their students. For everybody else, in terms of interior design, creative industries, image arts, either film or photo, we actually have a panel of students here to talk to you about their experiences. And then we're also going to chat with Lorena Scandin, who is one of the professors in creative industries, about creativity, about the classes that you'll take, and the overall experience here at FCAD and Ryerson. All right. So at this point, I'm going to stop sharing so I can go back to our presentation. Give me 1 second. All right. So if you did not get the URL beforehand, it is shared on the screen right now. And again, at 3:30, Alexa will paste the link into the chat. At this point, what I want to do is actually introduce our student panel. I know we might be a little bit early, but if I can call our panelists up from image arts and interior design, that would be great. Show video, there we go. Hello, hello, hello. All right, so again, once it's time for performance students to go, please feel free to do so. And of course, we'll be just chatting in here. Again, reach out and come back to the main room if you have any questions or if you require any support. All right, so how many people do I have here? I can't really see because my screen is shared. But yeah, it's our student panelists. Why don't you unmute yourselves and introduce yourselves?
I guess I'll start. Hi, everyone. My name is Kiana, and I am currently in 4th year in the Image Arts Film Studies program.
Hi, everyone. My name is Neha. I'm currently in fourth year as well in the interior design program.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sesame. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm currently a third year student at IMA Film.
Hi, I'm Samantha. I'm in my fourth year of the IMA photography program.
Excellent. And I believe we have one more student panelist. I can't really see everybody's cameras, but they will join us as soon as they get here. So
I'm
thank you.
also here as well.
Oh,
Sorry.
there we go.
I'm Casey. I'm in fashion in my fourth year.
And I'm Kristen. I'm in my fourth year at interior design as well, and my pronouns are also she and her.
Excellent. So thank you so much for joining us. For everybody in the audience, these are absolutely amazing students we've worked with. I've personally worked with a few of these students over the past year on a number of different events. And of course, for those of you who I didn't meet, I think you've been coordinating with Kate, who's on the back end, and she has nothing but wonderful things to say about you guys. So thank you so much for joining us today and chatting with some future students. So how has this year been going so far? I know we're in second semester of completely working remote and online. How has it been for all of you?
It's definitely been a learning experience because I know that my program and everybody else's program as well here is very hands-on. And so it's been definitely a learning experience navigating how to do all of that remotely, but it's definitely been all right, a lot better than I expected, honestly.
And has it gotten better since last semester? Because last semester was probably a huge shock.
Yeah, especially at the very beginning, but it also helps knowing that everybody is going through learning all of this and going through it like for the first time as well. So it's pretty great just knowing that you can get help with people at school and other students as well. So it definitely is great to know that you're not alone.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else? I know Kristen and Neha, we've been chatting nonstop this past semester. How has your experience been?
I'm sure Kristen can relate to this, but so we have been planning a year-end show as well as being in the interior design program. So going online, we were kind of like, just like everyone else, we were hit with like switching digitally, virtually for our team and our school as well. And like Sesame said, that I think we've gotten really, really good at communication. And it's kind of like forced us to create that communication with our profs, with our peers, as well as our, like any other teams that we're working with. And that process has actually been like very effective and efficient.
Yeah, I'd say coming through with restriction, they say that restriction promotes growth. And so I think that has really given us the opportunity, although we have certain limitations now and things are so different, it allowed us to sort of start from ground zero and decide that we can literally do anything we want because all of this is new. And so we can learn so many new things and try new things that maybe would have not been possible before, like reaching out to international audiences, reaching out to more people geographically than we ever could before. So kind of the negativity then grew positivity at the end of the day.
Excellent. Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of opportunities that you guys are kind of capitalizing on and really trying to figure out how you can navigate through this. Samantha, Casey, Kiana?
Yeah, I can kind of echo some of the sentiments that Kristen and Neha said. I'm also planning a year-end show for Image Arts. We're planning maximum exposure, and normally it'd be a gallery show that transforms the entirety of the Image Arts building into an exhibition, but we're not able to do that this year, which has been challenging, but I mean, it's really giving us the opportunity to do something that's never been done before and push the boundaries of things that we hadn't even considered before. We're in the process of finalizing a public art installation on the exterior of the Image Arts building, and it has the potential to live there for multiple months, maybe into the fall. And it's really great experience for the artists that will get their work shown, as well as us having to coordinate and figure out all these new things that have never been done before. So even though it's been challenging, I think we're going to look back on it and be really proud of everything that we did.
Excellent.
Yeah, I can also jump in on what Kirsten said as well about like having more opportunities for international collaboration. So I'm in the School of Fashion and I also took the Global Campus Studio course. So it was like a lot of opportunities to work internationally. And I know a lot of our profs and stuff had been bringing in like different speakers and stuff that normally you wouldn't have access to if it wasn't virtual, because now you can literally just invite someone to a Zoom call. You just send them a link and here they are. They can give you feedback. They can give you help that you normally wouldn't have if it was like in person. So I think it's been like, while it has been challenging, there's also like positive points to it.
Excellent. Kiana?
Just to piggyback on everyone else, so similar to a lot of programs in your fourth year, you do have a major project. And for film studies, you have a thesis film, which is super, super important for us because we put so much work and time and money into these films. And a lot of that kind of kickstarts our career after we graduate. And also it's been super hard considering being on set has been very limited, and even seeing people in general has been very limited. But I think even though that hasn't been ideal, I think it's great that since this is basically our new normal, it kind of allows us to really adapt to that. And we're essentially going to be the first generation coming out of the pandemic and actually getting into this new industry.
Right. So Kiana and Sesame, you're both in film, and of course, with this kind of working remote and virtual school, how does that impact, you know, your work? How are you doing your thesis projects?
Well, unlike Kiana, I'm in third year, so we don't have to do our thesis projects yet, but I can definitely relate to what she said in terms of having to adapt. And I think what's amazing is that it's not like we are the only ones going through this. The film industry in general is also going through this. And it's so awesome to see how well they've adapted to the pandemic and all the new restrictions. So we've been looking at what they've been doing it and applying it to our work. So for example, we have to really be strict about how many people are on set. There's all these new things that you've never even thought about that you kind of have to take into consideration, like how to do hair and makeup on an actor and what's okay and what's not okay. Like it's definitely opened our eyes to kind of how much we took for granted before. And now you're really forced to change things around, but it's not that hard to adapt, which is surprising.
Good.
For me, like I think again, first semester, it was very hard for us to adapt at first, just because we're so used to being on set with a lot of people and just being able to get all these locations and being able to shoot when we want to shoot or can shoot. But I know like for the production side right now, it's been hard because some locations would say, hey, I don't feel comfortable with you guys filming on this day. You may need to find another place. Or I know at first we were very limited on how many people can be on set. Like at first it was, I think 4 people in one room, and that's including cast and crew, which sounds pretty impossible, but at some point we did learn to adapt to that. And eventually everything kind of went by really easily.
And I think it takes a lot of creativity to really work with all of these restrictions. Okay, so I am getting a message from Alexa. So this is just a reminder for all performance students, your session is starting now. So please go ahead and enter that room. For our panelists, I'm actually very excited to see all of your year-end shows. Kristen and Neha, we're also working together to figure out the interior design year-end show. For everybody else, for our guests, why don't you talk a little bit more about what is the name of your year-end show? So for IMA, photo, for film, for interior design, and of course, Casey for School of Fashion. What are the year-end shows?
So I can get started. So for interior design, RSID, that's our abbreviation, Ryerson School of Interior Design. This year, our year-end show is called Revision. Everything is digital. However, we're also working on a physical installation right now at the SLC. So if you guys do have a chance to like go down and see it, that would be amazing. But our show is called Revision this year, and we are hoping to create an online student showcase. We're in the works of all of that right now, like an online gallery for our students. We're also organizing a 5-day event, a digital conference event, like a festival, where we're calling guest speakers, as well as having networking opportunities for our students and trying to do a lot of cool things that week.
Yeah, we're targeting not only prospective students like you, but also our fellow students to network, industry. We're trying to bring the general public in so they can learn about design. We have a focus on the intersectionality in our industry specifically. So topics such as equity, sustainability. We found that this was a great time to start pushing for these sort of revolutionary changes in response to a lot of the social, economic, and political realities that we are living in currently, the shifting paradigms happening. So we wanted to really focus on bringing more opportunities with the freedom that virtual sessions and conferences can provide.
Excellent. Sam, what about for photo?
Yeah, so for IMA, we are, I'm part of the team that's doing maximum exposure, or MaxX for short. That can be a little bit confusing because fashion has Mass X, but maximum exposure, it's the year-end show for IMA. I know that film has a specific, they have the Ryerson University Film Festival, but MaxX does include some video and integrated digital work as well. So usually installation-based work, things like that. But normally in a normal year, we would be transforming the entirety of the Image Arts building into a gallery exhibition using the hallways, using soundstage, all sorts of different areas in the building to turn it into an exhibition. Last year, due to COVID, the team shifted to a website, which you can actually find online. It's still up from last year. It's functionima.com/maxx. And so we're doing something like that. We're revamping it with a new design. And essentially there are two major year-specific shows. So there's the thesis show. So everybody in fourth year photo submits their thesis projects. We also have a third year show. So the third years have a specific project that they show as well. And then the rest are curated exhibitions of general submissions. So we try to include as much work from all different years. So we basically are applying to like industry professionals, the general public, just trying to get the work out there as sort of a launch pad for everybody to get their work seen and add a professional credit to their resume as well.
Excellent. Casey, for fashion, as Sam said, there's maximum exposure for photography for School of Fashion. I know it's called Mass X.
Yes, so it's Mass Exodus, or Mass X for short. So typically in the past, it was a runway show with a couple shows showcasing all the students' work, as well as like a capstone show. This year, we have a class that is actually organizing it for us, and it's a mix of multidisciplinary creatives this year. So it's not just fashion students planning it this year. I believe there's interior design students and some production students in it as well. And since everything is virtual this year, we obviously can't do a live runway show. So they've kind of separated it into 3 different components. So the first component is like a website, which would be like a virtual exhibition where everyone can kind of like click through and see the projects. And then there's a second component, which is a fashion film that they're in the process of collecting content for and recording right now. And then there's also a third component, which is they're using the Ryerson SLC, or Student Learning Center, to film kind of what they are using as like a runway presentation. So they're collecting some of the designers' garments and just having a few select models walk down with them, and then gonna turn that into part of the film as well.
Excellent. Kiana, I know you're in 4th year, so what is the significance of year-end shows?
So as I mentioned before, like this for our final film that we all make, we're basically taking everything we learned from 1st, 2nd, 3rd year and 4th year and putting it all in one film. And I know that a lot of people's films actually get bought by someone else to get turned into a feature. So an example of that was the film Firecrackers, which is made by a Ryerson alumni. But we do have that. But typically we would have a mini Ryerson film festival, also called Rough, where we all get to sit in a little theater and watch everyone's films. And a lot of industry professionals kind of come in and watch them and to see, kind of like think of a roster of like who they want to like bring onto their sets kind of thing. Okay. Obviously, we can't really do that in person. So right now, I think they're thinking of doing it more virtual or postponing it another year to do it in person. But that's kind of where we're at right now.
Okay. Speaking of virtual, Casey, I know you were part of something called the Global Campus Studio. Can you tell us a little bit more about, virtual collaboration?
Yeah, as you mentioned, I was part of the Global Campus Studio course last semester. So I was in the course that was collaborating with Seoul Institute of the Arts in South Korea. So my experience with that was, it was my first experience with international collaboration. So it was quite unique, and definitely working with South Korean students. There was language barriers and time zone barriers, but it's something interesting that you don't typically think about day to day when you're just like working with team members and group members who are in the same time zone and area you are and speak the same language as you. So that was definitely an eye-opening experience. And just being able to get a feel for what they kind of see and how they see things creatively. Learning about their culture, which was really interesting.
And how did that actually work? Like, were you meeting with your peers kind of on a weekly basis?
So I think part of the course was to figure out for students to figure out how to meet with their teams as well. So for my team, we kind of worked out a schedule that works for us. It took couple weeks just to like find one time that works for everyone, because of time zones, obviously, but we eventually found a time that works for us and we kind of stuck with that time and just like made it very clear, like if you aren't able to make it, you need to let someone know. So communication was like a huge factor in it, just because sometimes because the time zone is such a big thing, like if we'd be sleeping here in Toronto, they might be awake in South Korea. So communication was just like the biggest thing about making this international collaboration work.
Right. And I know even for non kind of virtual exchange or virtual courses, it does kind of change the way you guys go about going to school and going to classes, right? So some of your classmates might not be living in Toronto. So of course, the time zone difference is going to be a big issue. But aside from that, I know that you've had a lot of practice now managing online school and classes. What does your day typically look like now that you're completely virtual? So tell us a little bit more about a day in the life of Samantha, a day in the life of Sesame. What does it look like?
You mean for right now, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting question. I find that as soon as I wake up, I'm just like checking my emails, and if I'm in group assignments, because we still have a lot of group assignments, I'm checking Facebook or my messages just to see that everything's in order. And I find that I'm definitely a lot more online, but everything is pretty much kind of the same. The only thing is that I'm going to class online now. So it still requires a lot of organization and like keeping up with an agenda, I find. And Yeah, it's just more about it's forced me to be a lot more organized and kind of see things more clearly in terms of what I have to do for that day and separating my time with like going online and watching something on Netflix while I'm like supposed to be doing an assignment or something like that. So it's definitely forced me to be more organized, I would say.
I think I can agree with Destiny. When like the pandemic or before the pandemic started, I feel like I was always rushing to go catch the GO train or the GO bus. So that part, like that rush within like my life is like not there anymore, kind of. It feels a little bit more relaxed. My school is just like right beside my bed, so I just have to walk to it. So I feel like I have time for breakfast now. So it's a more calmer schedule, in my opinion, in terms of like before. Probably Kristen can relate to this too. It's always like go, 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 catching buses, going to classes, things like that. But it's kind of nice to kind of just be at home and have time with family now as well. But yeah, and definitely like obviously very virtual, but it also comes with its perks. So
I was also going to add, Neha just reminded me, before the pandemic, I was constantly in school. Like I had to make sure that I lived near campus just so I could be able to access it anytime, like going to the cage to pick up equipment, editing in studios, like staying there until pretty late at night. But right now I would say it's in the sense of my work environment, it's definitely a lot more relaxed because it's not like I have to be rushing to catch the subway or walking to get out. So that sense of presence is definitely a lot more different now.
Just curious, show of hands, how many of you actually live walking distance to campus? Walking distance. Wow, good for you. I know Kiana and Neha, you live outside of the downtown core. So it must be actually really nice not to have to worry about transit schedules and bus fares and subway fares as well. Okay, so we're 10 minutes away from the next part. So if anybody has any questions for our panelists, please feel free to ask. So Liam is asking, what is it like to live in residence? How did anybody? Yeah, Sam?
Yeah, I lived in Pittman Hall in first year. I come from a suburb of Vancouver, BC, so I was totally unfamiliar with Toronto when I came to Ryerson. And it was a good transition for me living in residence in first year. There were also a lot of other people on my floor that came from outside of Toronto, so a lot of us were new. We were kind of all exploring things together. It was like a really good, friendly environment. And I found like as well, Kiana or Cecily said, if you need to get equipment, it's like literally a 2-minute walk, which was really nice for me. And yeah, I think it was just a good transition for me going from living at home to living on my own, because you have all these structures in place to make sure that you're safe. And I had a meal plan, so I didn't have to worry about cooking and things like that. So I found that it was a good transition, going from living at home to being completely on my own like I am now.
Okay, excellent. Liam, I do see another one of your questions. We actually have admission staff in the background who can actually answer that question. So if you don't mind, they'll give you more information if you can type it in the Q&A box. For film, so for Kiana, I do have a question that came in, and it's about your thesis film. How long is your thesis film?
It's typically between 10 to 15 minutes long.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't usually make you do a whole feature film because that's pretty insane to get someone fourth year to do that. Obviously, one, during a pandemic, and two, during such a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we usually stick with short films.
Okay. Yeah. Question for all of you. What is the best thing about remote virtual learning, virtual classes?
for me, because I live in Brampton, a lot of film classes are at 9 a.m. So I would always wake up at 6 a.m., try to catch the 7 a.m. train to make it to the 9 a.m. class. And then after all my classes, I'm really, really tired. I have to go me all the way back and repeat the next day. So it's really nice that I can just wake up at 8:59 a.m., sign in, and I'm ready in class in the comfort of my home. So that's
Okay.
nice.
For me, it's really similar, being able to cook at home because I'm using the green screen. This is what RSID would look like in studio. So I would be here from anywhere from 9 a.m. till 3 a.m. And so you would never have access to a kitchen. You would just eat out all the time. So that saved money too, because the food around Toronto was also very appealing and easy to just go grab something. So being able to like have more flexibility in your schedule to stretch in the morning or have yoga or meditate, you know, like that, those kind of luxuries that I would never be able to do when in studio all the time.
I mean, the exercise is probably running to the bus, right? To make sure that you catch your bus on time. Anybody else? Casey?
I also agree, like in fashion, we would always just be in the studios. So it was like really early in the morning to really late at night, not really being home. So it's really nice to actually be home now and like make use of the apartment I'm paying rent for. And being able to make food, save on money. And I think one of the main things that this year also was different and also really nice to have was having recorded content. Even if you had any issues come up, like you needed more flexibility in your schedule, you're able to just rewatch content rather than trying to like make it to a class that you physically can't. And that just allowed for more accessibility and more flexible schedules for everyone else who plans on like who has part-time jobs and other commitments as well. It's definitely been easier.
Okay. Anybody else?
One thing that I really like about virtual, and also this would be in relation to like our program, would be like the flexibility with like props. Props are like super understanding during these times. If something goes wrong, depending on the circumstances, they're very, very understanding, just with deadlines and things like that as well. But yeah.
All right, I do have two questions coming in from the Q&A box. The first question is, how was first year photography? What are some of the projects and classes?
So first year is starting to get your technical grounding in. So we did a lot of variety of different projects just to get exposed to lighting. Like I remember I had a project where it wasn't a lot about your concept or your subject, but just focusing on your technical abilities. So I had to shoot in all different types of lighting scenarios. One of the major things that I remember from first year as well is learning how to use a 4x5 film camera. So that was quite a learning curve. I had never used film ever. So, and then you're using like something that's very tedious, but it really solidified my understanding of like how a camera works, not just a digital camera, but film camera as well. And you only have like a certain number of loaded exposures that you can use, and if you lug all the gear out to wherever you're shooting and then you mess it all up, you have to go back and do it again. But it really like was jumping in and just figuring out how to do all these different things in different lighting scenarios that really helps, so that once you get later on in the program, you have that technical foundation, and then you can focus more on your concepts and building like meaningful projects.
I mean, I think for a lot of our programs in FCAD, a lot of it is, you know, trying things out and learning by doing, right? So I know that when I was a student in professional communication, I had a lot of moments where I tried new things, took a long time to try these new things, failed, but then of course learned and figured out that it wasn't the way to go. The second question that I have is for interior design. There are some questions here about how heavy it is, the program itself, but I guess the better question here is, Is interior design harder or easier for you with classes being online?
I can speak on my experience about that. Personally, I feel like I don't really notice a big difference. I know for some people, like in our RSID building, we do have computers available with programs and software for rendering for some of our projects. So I know for some people, if they're not able to have those resources at home, that creates that change within your projects and stuff. For me personally, I didn't really find much of a change because a lot of our things are digital always, and like we're always working on our laptops and our computers. One change would be definitely the hands-on process, where I know in first, second, and half of third year is when we work on models. And you have that opportunity in fourth year to work on models as well, but it's more of a choice. So just that opportunity, but profs are still kind of trying to create that drive of creating models with things that you can find at home. We don't have access to workshops right now, as well as the robotic arm and the CTL and like all of those resources as of right now. But I know RSID is working hard to get like students appointments in for those things to create 3D models. But I think that would be like the only change for me personally.
Yeah, I would agree. A lot of our work is very digital and computer based. First year, you do more hand drawing, which is really good foundationally, but that can still be done from home. Something that I do miss a lot is the studio culture and being able to be in studio with everybody learning together. But we do have ways that we've adapted. So we have mural boards, for example, that are pinup spaces that pretend like they're the board in a classroom where you pin up your work and you can see it together. Some of us I know go on a Discord channel or a Zoom or Google Meet together, and we try to replicate the studio atmosphere. So there are definitely ways to sort of translate, and we're all learning. It's our first full year virtual, so there are obviously are kinks in the process. When you're in fourth year, it's a lot easier because you know a lot of the foundational aspects versus when you're just coming in, but there's a great community to be able to talk to each other. So it's just a matter of putting yourself out there on the platforms and really connecting to each other as much as you can.
Right, excellent. Thank you so much. A few questions coming in through Q&A. Which clubs would the panelists, oh, it just disappeared. Which clubs would the panelists recommend given no COVID? And thank you. So let's, I'll kind of moderate this one. I'll start off with Sam.
Okay, so I've been a part of multiple clubs, I guess you would consider it. So starting in my first year, I came to Ryerson being on the Ryerson Fast Pitch team. So it is considered one of the club teams under Ryerson Athletics. So I've been with them since first year. I have been playing competitive softball since I was like 8 years old. So that was a really nice way to get my head out of something completely different from school and just also stay active, especially in first year. That was really important to me. There's also course unions. So there's the Image Arts Course Union, which you can join pretty much any role. You don't have to have a background in like marketing or anything like that if you're just interested in getting extra skills. And then you also will be involved in the community. And also I am a part of the Ryerson Communication and Design Society, which is the student society that represents all FCAD students. Last year, I was the School of Image Arts director, and this year I'm the VP Finance in an exec role. And you really get to meet students from all across FCAD and be involved with a lot of stuff. We do a lot of funding, and you can also get student project funding from the RCDS. So I would recommend checking out those ones if you're interested.
Excellent. Kiana, you're up next.
Honestly, for me, I haven't been super involved with clubs, although I should have. I'd say the closest I've gotten to clubs is REC, which is the Ryerson Entertainment Conference. Which is basically a team of creative people that kind of create a conference filled with different panels about stuff in the industry. It's just so like what we did this year is make everything virtual. So we made all our panels online, and we all got to meet and talk with industry professionals across many creative areas such as music, film, media, television, and all that kind of stuff. So that's been really, really cool. So like if you're interested in joining the team, whether that be for marketing, for being a videographer, like what I did, or a content creator, you should definitely join for next year or any year. Yeah.
Neha?
So one of the, I guess, clubs or committees that I'm in right now is the year-end show committee. So for within the InterGen program, third and fourth years are able to join. However, first and second years have the opportunity to volunteer. We normally do have like an in-person show, but this year, like we said, we're going virtual. So we are trying to find opportunities for first and second years to volunteer and get involved with the community because we know how hard that is right now. But yeah, it's been an amazing committee to join. You learn so much. And also right now it's a great way to stay connected because we see each other like every week on Zoom. So it's like, it's good to have that connect.
Sesame?
I actually have not been involved in clubs. I found that I've been pretty busy, but one thing that I was involved in is a bunch of film students this year. It was in around September. We got together and kind of created our own collective of writers that are interested in film. It wasn't just strictly for people who are interested in screenwriting, but it extended all the way to people who want to write poetry or free form or any kind of writing. So I find that there are a bunch of students that are willing to kind of create a collective on their own, and it's not cliquey or anything. Like anyone can join and is welcome. So that's cool.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Casey?
So I've actually been part of the Fashion Course Union for the past couple of years, and I started off as a VP of events and then moved to operations, and I'm now the co-president. It's been like a great experience. I get to work with like a team of very dedicated students, some of which are actually in the fashion programming for today who are leading the event. As you mentioned before, they have prizes. So if you guys are in fashion, then you should definitely go check that out. Yeah, I think getting involved is really important, and you get to meet so many people along the process. And for us, like we've been planning a lot of virtual events this year. So that's been a learning process of shifting from planning in-person events to virtual events, but it's been going well. And I definitely recommend getting involved with your course unions.
Excellent. And last but not least, Kristen.
I'm also on year-end show, as we know, with Neha. We're the co-chairs, and we were associates in our third year. So you sort of get this process of being mentored by upper years and then going up in the process, which is wonderful. I'd say also I'm on the course union for interior design. We just rolled out a new position for vice president of equity and wellness this year. So there's a lot of great new things coming out of it. I would agree with Casey when she said that it's great to be involved because you really get out what you put in. You get more out of the experience at university when you do these extra things. Outside of interior design, when campus was open, I used to participate in some dance and sort of athletics before that. So when campus opens again, I'd highly recommend. There's like dance classes, there's intramurals, there's lots of also physical stuff once campus is safe again. And there's also free classes too, so.
Excellent. So I do have a question, but I don't want to be holding Casey. I don't know, Casey, if you're going to the Fashion Course Union event at 4 o'clock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually not ask this question about first year. If you are interested about first year fashion, please go and check out the fashion link because again, that session is hosted by students. So please go ahead and ask them. But I am going to close off this panel by asking, very short because we're running out of time, what advice would you give for future students? And I'm going to let Casey go first.
I actually don't have to go to that one because I have my team members for the fashion one, but I think solid team, as I mentioned. My biggest advice would be take advantage of your time here because it honestly just like you blink and it's gone. Like, I can't believe I'm in 4th year already. So like, meet people, join clubs, get involved, do basically everything you can, because the next thing you know, you're going to be graduating.
Excellent. Kristen.
I would just echo that, honestly. Just get as involved as possible. Talk to people, like get involved also outside. There's so many resources that, for example, the Creative Technology Lab, that you can talk to people outside of your program as well, cross collaborate, because you can learn so much from people that are outside your program too.
Excellent. So at this point, I'm gonna actually share screens. We'll continue going to answer the advice for first year students, but I do wanna leave this screen up here so that if you are looking for how to actually connect to these different rooms, which will open up at 4:05, they are ready for you now. So please feel free to go. But going to Sesame, what advice would you give?
Geez, there's a lot that I have, but the most important one that I wish I knew was to not feel intimidated by going out and asking for help. That's a huge one. Take advantage of the fact that you have professors that are so experienced in your field. Get to know them, not for the sake of networking, but really just get to know them and really make friends with a lot of people, just because it's amazing. And you really should take advantage of your time at university and take it easy. Don't stress out too much. That's a huge one.
Yes, very important to make sure you take it easy and don't be too difficult and hard on yourself, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Neha?
I would just want to echo like everyone else's advice as well. Definitely stay connected with the community. I wish I did that sooner. Like in first year and started to get involved with the Ryerson's community. There's so many students at Ryerson. It's a great community to make friends with, not just in your program, but outside of your program as well. I know in particular with interior design's community is very close knit. So if you're in first year, don't be scared to talk to a 4th year, because we will give you advice. We'll be there. And then like maybe when you need a job like later on, you contact us and like that community is like very close knit. So I would definitely recommend to reach out. Don't be scared to do that.
Excellent. Kiana?
So like my advice is more for future film students, but it could also apply to anyone across any art discipline. But film is very hands-on, and it's best to learn hands-on rather than through lectures. So although you do get to learn a lot on sets for your own films during first, second, third, 4th year, there's always room to learn more. So if you have the chance to work on an upper years film, especially a 4th years film, you get to learn so much. So I would highly recommend to get yourself onto that. But that's also, of course, if you have the time for it. Yeah.
Excellent. Last but not least, Sam.
Echoing a lot of what everybody else said is just you might have an inclination to want to like be the best, to always succeed, but really this is the time to just learn as much as you can, and don't feel like you need to compete with the other people that are in your year, because you're all learning. Like, help each other out. Don't feel like you need to be better than everybody else. There's way too many times where I would be in the studio doing an entire shoot all by myself, and that I would highly not recommend that. So lean on your peers, build good connections with your peers and your professors, because those are going to be really important connections when you leave the school. And so just build your connections and try to learn as much as you can.
Excellent. I think all of this advice is not only applicable to university, but these are good life skills and mottos to live by beyond university. So, all right. So thank you so much to all of our panelists for being here and sharing your wisdom and your advice. I hope it was a good chance to kind of chat off the cuff and not be in class. So once again, thank you so much. Please feel free to stay, or if you want, and if you're open to it, please let people know how they can connect with you on social media. All right. All right, so at this point in time, it is 4:05, and most of our program sessions are going to be opening up, if not already. So again, go to ryerson.ca/FCAD Fair 21, or just ask us in the chat in terms of how to get to these sessions. For interior design students, creative industry students, and film and photo students, please stay in this room because I have the pleasure of welcoming Dr. Lorena Scandin. Lorena, are you here?
I'm here, but I don't have co-host power, so I don't I don't know if
No,
I
I don't.
should.
That's okay. I don't think unless you want to share screens. Are you sharing screens?
I don't. I'm not gonna.
Okay, excellent. So Lorena is one of my favorite profs. Even though I'm not a student, Lorena has been extremely active in the FCAD community. She is a professor in the creative industries, but she also does a lot of other cool things in and around campus. So I'm very happy to have her here with us today. Lorena, do you want to take a couple of minutes to kind of introduce yourself?
Sure, I can introduce myself. Hi, everybody. Thank you, Samantha, for the co-host status. Appreciate that. I don't think I will be needing it because I'm hoping to keep this a little bit more conversational. And yes, so I also want to say hi to Emma, who's here. Emma is our lifeline. We cannot live without her in creative industries. She is our executive administrator. Yeah,
all things creative industries.
All things, exactly. Anything creative industries, like she's the person that knows everything and everybody and everything that's going on. My name is Dr. Scandin. I have been in Toronto for 3.5 years. So I've been at Ryerson for the same amount of time. And I also live very close to campus. So you will see me around with my dog on campus, and I always encourage everybody to come and say hello. I have a small pug, so right now maybe you won't recognize me because I'll be wearing a mask, but you'll probably recognize my dog. And as Jackie was saying, I have been running other programs. I run the toy invention program out of the Chang School, and we also organized a international summer school on creativity management with other universities. 2 summers ago when we were actually able to travel and meet people. And I teach courses in the program. I teach entrepreneurship in the creative industries, and I teach research methods for the creative industries. I teach other special topics like trend watching and emerging technologies and how we can use those in the creative industries. I don't know if anybody has questions about the program itself. Jackie, have you talked a little bit about the program, or do you want me to do the pitch?
No, I don't think we haven't had any official questions unless Emma, probably Emma in the background has been answering all of the creative industries questions. But to our audience, if you do have questions specifically for Lorena or general questions about the program, please feel free to type them in the Q&A so that we can keep track. And of course, if we don't ask them live, then at least Emma can respond to you as well. But I have a few questions for you, Lorena, to get us going.
Yeah.
Out of all of these classes, what is your favorite one?
I really like the trend watching one. The problem with that is that it's a summer intensive. So it's not, I don't get a lot of students in the class because we do have a limited capacity for courses where there's a travel component, but it's a very interesting course. We get to travel, we get to work with students from other universities. So we ran this 2 years ago with Stuttgart in Germany, and we traveled to Montreal, which, by the way, a lot of my students, even being Canadians, had not been to before. So it was a very good opportunity to contrast I would say, like, out of the East Coast, these are the 2 most dynamic, entrepreneurial and creative cities in Canada. So it was a very good opportunity for them to see what kinds of industries are there, opportunities, for maybe internships. We do have some students that go to like Ubisoft or Cirque du Soleil, and they do that because now they know, there's this whole opportunity in Montreal that we don't have in Toronto to be part of those kinds of companies. So that's my favorite. And the other two, I think, are very enjoyable. I've been getting really good feedback from my entrepreneurship class this semester. We are hosting a series of speakers in entrepreneurs in the creative industries. And just last week, we had Scarlett Bobo, who was the finalist in Canada's Drag Race. But I invited her because she she created this contest called Empire's Ball. And so as an entrepreneur, she came up with this idea that is very inclusive, and she got sponsorship from a vodka brand that shall remain. I don't want to make any ads here in the call, but maybe you've seen it in around Gay Village if you've been there last couple of years. So she talked about how she got sponsorships, how they're growing it through COVID, all of the hurdles and obstacles that people face as entrepreneurs in racialized or marginalized communities, imposter syndrome and everything else. It was a very, very cool guest lecture. And, every week we have somebody coming in and talking about what kinds of situations you face as an entrepreneur in the creative industry. So it's been really very cool. Even through COVID, I think we've been able to create community with the students. They're so active in the class. Everybody asks questions. They support each other. They created, I think by week 3, everybody was talking about their own personal projects, and they created a document in Google Docs with everybody's links. If they were making music, if they're influencers on Instagram, if they have a store on Etsy, kind of everybody got together and started doing this on their own. So it was really wonderful to see how they're supporting each other and creating community through COVID as well. So anyway, I think I went into a tangent there, but I thought it was just
no, I think that actually gave everybody a good understanding of the different types of things that creative industries as a program kind of touches on. So from trend watching to discussing real issues in society today, and how it fits into education as well as the career path. So I think it was really good. I do have a few questions lined up, but I have other ones that I came up with. So I want to get through those first. Mm-hmm. In terms of these courses, I know that some of our student panelists talked about, meeting students from other programs. Is that something that's possible with the Creative Industries program and classes? And what does that kind of look like in terms of interdisciplinary learning?
For sure. We have a couple of courses that are electives, and so some of them are open to everybody at Ryerson, and some of them are open to FCAD students. And some of them are really amazing. I think it's so enriching to work with people who are not in your discipline, to get, just different worldviews. You get to meet interesting, cool people and build projects. I don't know if anybody here has talked already about the Ryerson Musical Theater Company. That was creative industry students who came up with the idea, but obviously it couldn't be done without the support of students from performance and media, everybody who's involved. Even if you're not in a performance program, you can be involved in marketing and organizing and putting together all of these kinds of events and really cool initiatives. And it gives you so much curriculum experience, hands-on experience, and building relationships that will live after graduation, right? So I've had students who have been in class together, and then after they graduate. So, for example, maybe some of you know Tori Webster, who was in Life with Boys, and then she was a creative industry student. And when she graduated, because all of her, again, everybody knows what everybody else is doing. One of her other students from creative industries who graduated went on to work with Disney, and she hired her for a campaign to promote Disney. So they flew her to LA. They made this whole campaign. So again, building relationships with people in and out of your program is just so essential for university life, and definitely take advantage of those courses. because you also get to meet faculty who are doing interesting things, right? Like maybe you want to do a research project for your master's, or you want to do a special course, and they're just doing such amazing, wonderful things. You can do a minor in something that's maybe interesting to you. For example, the entrepreneurship minor has the entrepreneurship course in creative industries as one of the courses that you can take. So yeah, it's really, it's interesting, it's enriching, it's worth it. You're gonna see, again, the trend watching course. It's also one of the creative industries courses that is open. When we ran it, I had students from journalism, professional communication. So it's and again, bringing them together for the project was, they came up with this really wonderful final project. I asked them to do a podcast, and you could see the difference between the journalism student, how they influenced the creative industry students in the project. So it was really nice.
Right. Thank you. This actually goes into my next question. And I know that, Emma, you answered a question about career paths, but this one says, from what I understand, creative industries has a lot of different specialities.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to discuss the different paths students have. Emma, can you talk a little bit more about that? Within school, not beyond, before getting into the industry, so within the program itself.
So I think you're talking about our creative content modules. I need to open our website. Sorry, I've forgotten how many we have. Each module is a focus on a specific industry within the school of within the Faculty of Communication and Design. So there's a module in fashion, and that is provided by the School of Fashion. There's a module in journalism, that's provided by journalism. So our program allows you to really sort of, I don't want to say, to really get an idea of the creative industries, but sort of more from a management or a business perspective. So you're not going to be doing fashion design, you're never going to be cutting or sewing, but you're going to learn about the history and the theory and the background of those industries. So that's I think what you're talking about with the different paths. So you do 2 creative content modules. There's 6 courses each, which is about it's about 1/4 of your entire program is spent on these creative content modules. And so you get a really good business foundation, as well as exposure to the industries that you are specifically interested in.
Excellent.
Did that answer the question?
I think so. Another follow-up question for you is, when do you choose your modules for creative industries?
As soon as possible. We start contacting students as soon as admissions gives us a list of accepted students. We start contacting them in the summer to get your just one course of your first module chosen, so that we can get you into that and hit the ground running in September. And then the rest just follows from there. But yeah, definitely read up on the modules, read up on the courses, because sometimes you might think a module is really interesting, and then you read the courses, you're like, oh, maybe I don't actually want to know about the history of textiles.
Just kidding.
But also you can always change your mind. You're not stuck with a module. If you take a course, you decide this is not actually what I thought it was going to be, you can absolutely change your mind and switch modules.
Excellent. This is a good question. How old is the program?
We're going into our 8th year. This is very
Only.
So we have our 4th graduating cohort this spring. It's very exciting. So we're a very young school. We're very new. So us and Procom, I think, are the youngest.
Yeah, I think you guys started at the same time.
Yeah, we did. We started at the same time. It's exciting.
Yeah. For both Lorena and Emma, is creative industries mostly business oriented?
I mean, yes.
If you want.
Sort of. It depends on how you look at business, I think, how you look at innovation and entrepreneurship and how creativity works in the world. So there will be quite a few courses that are offered by the Ted Rogers School of Management, and our own courses that Lorena teaches, entrepreneurship. So I don't know, mostly business?
Yeah, I think it's for someone who is interested in business but wants to be in the creative industries, or maybe someone who is in the creative industries but wants to understand. So I mentioned Tori Webster because I feel like that's a really good example of someone who is in the creative industries, but then she wanted to know how to manage her business. And she's even made videos about it on her Instagram, that she learned, if she's pitching as a content creator, working with a brand, you have to learn how to pitch, you have to learn how to budget, you have to learn how to manage a team. So all of those things are part of what we teach in the program. So again, some of the courses that we do teach are intellectual property, human resources, entrepreneurship. So yeah, they are very business focused. We also talk a lot about innovation and managing collaboration. That's also one of the other courses, creative collaboration. It's about facilitating and motivating teams that want to create. So it's like you're not going to be the one hands-on making a film, but it's like you're the one who's going to pitch the film to investors, to networks. So that's it's more about the business side of the creative industries. And the creative content modules, like Emma said, you're not going to be cutting fabric on day one. It's more about understanding the fashion industry from the industry side. And that's why the word industry is there. It's a big component of her program.
Excellent. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this up because I think we started off really great and the questions are pouring in, but I also want to keep it super lighthearted and conversational. So because Emma, you're on camera already, you can participate in this, but I also have a list of rapid fire questions. So 1-word responses.
I feel like it's like a quiz show.
Yeah, exactly. Keeping it exciting. So if you can answer these questions, Emma can go first and then Lorena can follow.
Okay.
Best food around campus.
Salad King.
I would say, what's the hummus place?
Hummusaya.
Hummusaya. Yeah,
yes.
Hummusaya. There we go. Hummusaya.
Starbucks or Tim Hortons?
Balzac's.
Balzac's on campus?
Page 1.
Yeah. Page 1. Okay, the hidden gem.
Mm-hmm.
Fall or winter?
Winter.
Winter.
Wow, both of you. I'm much more of a spring summer kind of person, but
spring summer was not an option.
Yeah.
You said fall
you
or
make
winter.
your own path. We make our own paths here. Stay in or go out?
I'm a stay in.
On campus, I would say go out. There's a lot to explore.
There is a lot.
Personal preference, hockey or basketball?
Soccer.
Figure skating.
Figure skating. Wow. Okay.
Xbox instead.
Xbox. Yeah. So lots of different options there. We are platform agnostic, so absolutely video games counts. Esports. Okay, last one for rapid fire. Most recent TV show
that I watched.
That we watched or loved or
that you watched.
Wild Country.
Wild Country.
Documentary on Netflix. 6 parts, I think.
The Stand. Stephen King's The Stand.
Interesting. I've never watched either one, so I'm gonna have to.
Stand just came out on
catch up on those. Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Getting back into these questions from our students. Question for Lorena. I know that Ryerson is very modern, forward-thinking school, which I love. I'm curious if I decided to work in a more traditional business model, like a museum, would creative industries serve me in that environment?
If you want to work in a museum as a curator, I would say go for a fine arts program. If you want to work in the, because we do have students who have gone on internships to museums, but more on the business side. So if you want to know, like if you want to help a museum generate audiences, like come up with ideas on how to engage audiences, if you want to work on their marketing side, creative industries could be for you. But if you really want to work as a curator or something more classical, I would say this is not the program.
Okay.
Emma, what do you think?
Yeah, in general, most sort of curatorial positions would require a fine arts degree. But if you are sort of more interested, maybe perhaps in sort of the promotional side or the marketing side, digital strategy management, that sort of thing, then yeah, creative industries could help you, but not if you wanted to be like the director of the museum. That's generally a fine arts degree.
Okay. Question from an attendee that's related. What are some places that past students have interned?
So we mentioned a couple, Ubisoft, Cirque du Soleil, Warner Music, Bell Media, Rogers, E1. Like I'm talking about the big ones, but we recently had a student doing an internship with a YouTube interior design channel. And she absolutely loved it. We've had students also get their own internships in LA, for example, and they've gone to LA to do their internships. So it really is up to you and what you want to do. We've had all kinds, like we've had students working in talent management agencies. Right now, I think there's an effort to get them into kind of like more live entertainment, more umbrella organizations. What else am I? Because I'm kind of like Artscape.
All the high spots, but we also have like some smaller music labels, like small local startups.
Yeah, arts and crafts is also another one.
Crafts.
Okay. And yeah, I like the idea that students can actually go and look for their own internships. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah, our work placement coordinator, Alex Darcy, will work with the students. If they have an idea of where they want to go, if we don't already have a connection with them, she'll help try to make that connection. We do have obviously a lot of already established partners, both large and small, but if there's like specific industries that we just haven't tapped yet, Alex is the best person to sort of help break into that. We've had interns at the city of Toronto too, interning for the
Luminato
and the province, Luminato. Yeah, so pretty much everything that you can think of that's related to creative industries, we've got an intern in there somewhere.
So I remember in this space right here, the Catalyst, I remember there was a huge event hosted by Creative Industries. Can you remind me if that was the internship fair or if was it a career fair? What was it?
I believe it was sort of an alumni internship event. Okay. We had alumni coming back, talking to students that were about to go on their internship. So we had a lot more alumni come back than we anticipated, and we had a lot more students show up than we anticipated. So it was very full.
I remember that I even refused to step in. That's how full it was. It was super hot in there.
It was very warm. The food was amazing, and the speakers were great. But we were doing like interviews and
like speed dating, kind of like the speed interviews
and alumni. So you'd have like one alumni and their boss basically, and then like 10 interviewees at once. It was fantastic. It was amazing.
Excellent. What experiential opportunities are there for students other than internship, trend watching? You talked about a little bit, Lorena, but what other experiential learning opportunities are there?
So we do have a couple of courses that are hands-on, that where you can develop a product or a service. But as I think the alumni mentioned or the current students mentioned, you can volunteer and get or also get paid positions. There's a couple of publications like the Eye Opener, the Ryersonian, where you can volunteer, you can pitch stories. You can also volunteer or get paid positions at some of the incubators in FCAD. So the Transmedia Zone, the Design Fabrication Zone, the Music Den. So there's a couple of places around campus. You can also get one of the Career Boost works. Yeah, the Fashion Zone. Sorry, I was like, did I mention all of them? Sorry.
think there's like 11 zones. I think there's more than 11 zones now.
Oh yeah, but I mean, like for creative industry students, I mean, there have been some students who volunteer at iBoost or social ventures, but I think most of our students volunteer in the transmedia, fashion, and digital design fabrication studio and the music den. There is, as I mentioned, like other opportunities for student-led initiatives like the Ryerson Musical Theater Company. There's like Mass Exodus. There's a couple of really big. I don't know if I'm missing anything, Emma. Like Mass Exodus, the Big Night. The Big Night has actually spawned.
Night. The Big Night is like it's a semester-long event program. So you put on the Big Night. We've done like CD launches and fashion launches and book launches. So
yeah, and really one of them, they're still working on their project. Like they finished the course like a year and a half ago, and they liked the concept so much that they kept it going as a nonprofit for now. But hopefully someday they're going to make a profit. Yeah. So yeah,
and I know a whole bunch of creative industry students actually started the Gen Z Film Festival as well. Yeah. Which is really great because it's beyond creative industries, beyond even FCAD and Ryerson. So they contact students from George Brown, Humber, York to get involved in the Gen Z Film Festival. So there's a lot of cool things. And of course, creative industry students really take their career into their own hand because they're passionate about something and they go and explore.
Yeah, we've had students that not only volunteer in the zones, but they've launched companies in the zones, have transformed their offers and even sold companies while being an undergrad student. So it's really, again, I feel like it's an ecosystem that supports students in what they want to do. The faculty, the staff, the dean, everybody kind of, it's an environment where if you want to do something, you will find the support. And if we can't support you financially, we'll help you find where to get funds, who to talk to, who's the right door to knock on.
Yeah.
Excellent. Question, do you know if the Ryerson Musical Theater Company ran this year?
I don't know. I just saw that, and I actually don't know if they did. I would imagine that they did not.
They did not, but you know what they're doing, and I found that really cool and interesting. They didn't want to let people down, like we're not doing anything. So they're running workshops. So I think last week was makeup for theater and how to audition and kind of, so it's not inactive, which I find, again, the drive and the motivation of our students is really off the charts if they want to do something.
Excellent. Following up from Emma's comment about the modules, I'm going to combine these two questions. What courses in the program in creative industries covers film and video game, or is there even a module for video games?
We do not have a video game module. I think the closest would be perhaps new media.
Or media production, yeah, with Chris Alexander.
Storytelling and media. And of course, these are all, so storytelling and media business are modules offered through the RTA School of Media. Maybe visual culture, but yeah, we do not have a specific module for video games. We do have a couple elective courses that we run on a sort of year-on, year-off basis, specifically about the video game industry, because we know there is a lot of interest, and we are partnered with Ubisoft for one of them sit on our program advisory council. We do work with them in some classes, so there is some opportunity. Pardon?
One of your graduates are actually working. Two now in Ubisoft.
I know. Excellent. We're like, okay, well, that means this year they need to take 2 more.
Excellent. In your opinion, what is the most exciting modules in creative industries, Lorena and Emma?
You can't ask me that because my favorite module is like the least, I want to say the least popular. It just has a lower enrollment than, say, like the business of film or the fashion or the music industry. But I think curatorial practices is the best.
Well, we did have a question about museum. So, Lorena?
I also cannot answer that because it's such a deep and personal preference question. It's like, well, what is exciting to you? I mean, there are some things that I don't find exciting, and other people are like, oh my god. So it's really like I can't answer that.
Right. One question that I have for you is, how has creative industries shifted online? How are your students doing? How are they liking it online?
I think they're doing okay. I haven't heard, so that we're in a weird position because I don't interact with the students a lot. Like Lorena interacts a lot more, but that also means that I haven't been getting any emails to my office about problems. So
I'm also just going to plug that Paula does her Paula's Top 5 on social media. And honestly, everyone, if you're on social media, you should, well, first of all, if you're not on social media, you should, because Creative Industries is extremely active on Twitter. Everything from Paula's Top 5. Paula is a staff member in Creative Industries. She's absolutely amazing. So you're going to get connected to the school, but also their Twitter is always lit with all of these opportunities, again, both within Creative Industries, within the faculty, within Ryerson, and within the city. So you have to follow them on Twitter. On Instagram, they have an amazing course union that does a lot of programming. So I remember last year, the year-end show.
Year-end show's coming up.
Yeah, it was all hosted on Instagram as an Instagram Live. So go and check them out, follow them on social media. And I also hear that Lorena's dog actually has her own Instagram. So that's how active Creative Industries is on social media. All right, one more question. Can you talk a little bit more about the film module?
Maybe. Pulling it up. I'm pulling it up right now. So it's offered by the School of Image Arts, and it is called The Art and Business of Film. So this is not a hands-on program. You're not going to be touching a camera. You're not going to be filming anything. It's about, it says, a theoretical approach to film with a focus on business. So it's about the concept and theories and ideas of cinema as a whole, but it's not a film module. So you're not going to be making a film, but you will be learning about the business of the entire cinema industry.
Yeah, and there's nothing stopping you from making your own film on the side.
Or we have a lot of students that join up with RTA students to work on their thesis projects and their final film projects. There's a lot of that happening. There's a lot of cross-pollination.
Exactly. What are the types of jobs that your graduates working at Ubisoft?
Primarily, it's project management. We have them, because we don't have graphic skills. They're not doing animation or writing, but they are doing a lot of project management. And I think they are both in project management, or I think one of them might be in marketing development or community management.
Yeah, they have the word coordinator. One of them has the word coordinator in the
Well, it usually starts project admin, then project coordinator, then project management, right?
Yes. I'm trying to.
While I think, Emma, I don't know if you're looking anything up, but while you are, will we be getting hands-on experience to the creative aspects of the CI program, Creative Industries program?
So we talk about this a lot because we're about what does hands-on mean. So we talk about it in, you will get experiential learning opportunities, but hands-on, you're not going to be, I always say, you're not going to get your hands dirty in our program. You're not going to be gluing things or building things or designing things or sewing things, but you're going to learn about how that happens, and you're going to learn how to work with the people that do that kind of dirty hands work. I want to stop using hands analogies. Sorry. So yeah, we do hands-on, but it's not building. It's how to work with the people that do the building. So we do a lot of pitch competitions. We do a lot of case studies. There's a lot of industry that is involved in our program that you will be interacting with every year. So that is all hands-on. but you just won't have a thing at the end. The thing is you.
Right.
The product
which is the most important.
Yeah.
But I also know that there's a lot of creative industry. Yeah, sure. The course side, you won't be getting hands-on, and you won't be getting your hands dirty, whatever.
Yeah.
But there are so many opportunities, like Lorena had mentioned, the different zones. I know that there's a lot of opportunities to participate in research. And so there are those opportunities outside of the classroom that a lot of our students actually participate in and take advantage of.
Yeah, it's like there's this, I think, notion that it's theory because we're in the classroom, but it's practical in the sense that you're applying what you're learning through cases and projects. And we collaborate with organizations like CRI A10, the Creative Collaboration course. The students have to go out to a company, facilitate a collaborative session, and then come up with strategies to implement in the organization to improve whatever issue the company's facing. So like that is very practical, but sometimes people understand practical as like I'm making a dress or I'm making music, and that's not what this program is, because they're not in a music or fashion program. Right. This is more about how do I, as a manager, and how am I going to plan for something? How am I going to design strategies for an organization? How am I going to convince people of change, for example? Like all of those things are very practical in a sense, like this is what you're going to be doing as soon as you leave the program. Mm-hmm. But it's not practical in the sense that if you're in the fashion module, you're not going to be making fashion.
Right.
Yeah.
But you could go to the fashion zone.
You can go to the fashion zone. And again, like you could do that on the side. We have lots of students who make music. But again, they're trying to learn how to manage their brand, how to make themselves known, how to run a company. That's more what this is.
Right. All right. So I am cognizant of time, and Lorena and Emma, thank you so much for being here. We have 20 minutes left, and I was just going to do a little tour so that people can see the different facilities that we have at FCAD. Feel free to stay, but you are absolutely not obligated to, because I know that it's time is up. So really, really thank you so much for participating in our little chat. But yeah, feel free to stay. Maybe Lorena, tell me what your favorite space is on campus.
Oh, I really like the Catalyst.
Catalyst, okay.
I like the Catalyst. The Catalyst, so I'm just going to say that there is one more question asking if the creative industries prepares you to be a manager. And yes, definitely. So you're probably not going to go out of the program and get a manager job right away, but it does put you on a path where you can be manager fairly quickly. And again, because you know how to budget, how to plan projects, how to manage people, we have a couple of courses that are related to hiring and managing people, and again, facilitating collaboration. And if there's a negotiation course that is an elective, but that is super helpful, and I recommend that everybody takes a negotiation course as well. Marketing, so all of those things, they're for the business side of the creative industries, and understanding like what is different about managing a fashion brand or something, because they're not commodities, right? It's not things that people need to survive and to live, but it's like selling ideas, selling emotions, selling entertainment. So learning what the difference is between a traditional business and something in the creative industries, that's what this program will teach our students.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so that's the Catalyst I was talking about.
This is where when Emma was talking about, good food, extremely packed.
A lot of people in there. We were
creative industries networking session. There was a lineup out the door, right into the hallway because it was so filled with people. I'll take you guys inside. So this is what it looks like. And of course, all of the furniture is movable. And so you can, when you do host events, I think one year there was the big night that was hosted in here. So creative industry students hosted events in here, really transformed the space. And so this is one of those facilities that are available to you as students. This is oh, by the way, this is the Catalyst right behind me.
Yeah.
And so this is primarily a research space, but as undergraduate students, you are able to come in here if you are a research assistant. And of course, you'll catch Lorena in here quite often. Louis Etienne Dubois also has an office in here for his Future of Live Entertainment Lab, which has a partnership with Cirque du Soleil. But of course, you'll see that there's quite a few different research centers and labs in here that's available to you as FCAD students. And then we also have lots of space for researchers, both international and right here in FCAD. We have a couple of 3D printers in the back over there, and it's all around a great event space. So as a creative industry student, you could be using this and reconceptualizing the space itself. Another location, Lorena?
Yes.
Any other location that you want to?
Do you have this Sacagawea mural?
Sacagawea, I do. Yeah, that's within the Rogers Communication Center. So just so everybody knows, the Catalyst is actually located in the Rogers Communication Center. This is the outside. And so when we enter the lobby of the RCC, you'll see some interior design students did a project up here with the design fabrication zone. And this building is 3 floors. So the Sacagawea mural, where is it?
To the
over there.
To the east, to the west of
there
that.
We go.
There we go. There.
Isn't she pretty?
So Sacagawea is FCAD's indigenous think tank and creative. I forgot what it's a long name, but it's basically a research and creation center for indigenous thought and creativity. And then of course you have some classrooms, Procom classrooms over here. There's a big lecture hall here.
We use that a lot.
Yeah. And then of course in the winter, you can actually access the bridge over to Creative Industries' new home. I think, how long have you guys been in Kerr Hall?
We moved in Kerr Hall January 2020.
Okay, there we go.
So we were there for 2 months.
Yeah. And so Creative Industries used to be up here on the 3rd floor of RCC.
Tiny offices.
And then, well, you had you had a great lounge over here. Creative Industries students actually have a lounge on the 2nd floor of the RCC. So this is where your student lounge is. And then, of course, once you need to go to the offices to find Emma, you can cross the bridge into Kerr Hall, and they have really cool digs now.
We do. They're very nice now.
So when Emma and Lorena were talking about the different zones, the fashion zone, design fabrication zone, as well as the transmedia zone and the music den, they're all located at something called the Creative Innovation Studio. This is the outside of the Creative Innovation Studio, 3 floors as well. And right here, you'll see that there's actually quite a few events that happen and are open to the community as well, including students. So there's a lot of opportunities for students, regardless of the program that you're in, to get involved in one of the zones or actually just attend these really cool events. So once we enter in here, there's actually some makerspace at the back where you actually get to utilize mannequins and Judy's. You can actually fabricate things in here, different types of workbenches. So you'll see a lot of things happening within this space right here. This is the main floor of the Creative Innovation Studio. And this is located on campus as well. So on the second floor of the Creative Innovation Studio, we actually have something called HQ. So sometimes you will be taking classes, global campus studio classes, like special kinds of events or lectures that happen in here. But this is also where you'll find a lot of the zone members. So zone members are these companies that are being incubated within one of these zones at Ryerson, or specifically at FCAD. So you'll see that they'll take up some common space. There's a little kitchen over there. For events, we actually ask the residents to either participate or vacate for a certain period of time so that we can actually run events. So some of these community-based events that we've run in here include Social Media Week, where this space was filled with people with cameras, lights, and everything. There are special performances that do happen in here, and you can actually dress up the venue or the space however you'd like, including putting stuff onto the ceiling and so forth. Do you have to be in a specific course to use the Creative Innovation Studio? No. It's not a classroom, it's a venue. Sometimes the classes will use the Creative Innovation Studio, for example, when they have guest lectures or invite special guests, they could be using this space to do so. But again, more so of a venue. So the Catalyst was being used for the Big Night, for example, but the Catalyst is a research space. So the Big Night would actually be much more fitting in this space, which is much more about community collaboration, industry collaboration, and so forth. So you can see that there's two different TV screens here. There's their own sound system. And when you get to, so this is the kitchen view. So it's pretty big and open. You can pipe and drape things. And I forgot what I was gonna say, but yes, you can use this space as a student, either to participate in one of the zones and the activities that they have, or just as like coming to one of the events that are open to the public.
Okay, I think there was one more question about the Creative Industries program, and Emma wanted to answer.
Sure.
Yes, you will be using Photoshop. In fact, you will be using the entire Adobe Creative Cloud. We have a second-year course called Digital Design Studio. It's a required course. Everybody takes it, and it introduces you to every aspect of Adobe Creative Cloud. If you already know Photoshop or Illustrator or Dreamweaver, or I'm getting the names wrong, I'm sure, our instructors actually really adept at pitching the assignments to your skill level. So if you are a complete newbie, you've never touched Photoshop or Illustrator, then you will get the complete newbie instructions. If you've been, making illustrations and building your own websites, then you're going to get harder instruction. You're going to get harder assignments, because we want everyone to have a basis of digital design. It's very important in pretty much every creative industry and management of the creative industry. So yes, you will be using Photoshop.
And as an FCAD student, you don't have to pay for it because you get a license.
You do.
Which you can also use on 2 devices. So yes, on your laptop, but you can also do it on your iPad if you have an iPad, or I use Premiere Pro, no, not Premiere Pro, Premiere Rush on my phone. So when you're shooting video on your phone, nice. You can actually edit it on the go. That opened a can of worms. What technologies should you consider for creative industries?
We don't make a preference. You are not required to have a computer for our courses. I would say the majority of students do have their own, but there are computer labs across campus, both Mac and PC, that you have access to pretty much 24 hours a day. So if you do not have access to a private computer, there are computers available for you. So we do not recommend one operating system or the other, or software. It's any software that you need for a class. If there is a class like Digital Design Studio, there is software required. That class takes place in a computer lab. You'll never be in a class where you are required technology that isn't provided for you.
Also, we have the cage that offers other equipment, so not just computers, but if you ever need a microphone, a camera, cables, things like that.
Go talk to the people in the cage and they will set you up.
And you might need to partner up with students from different programs, because depending on your program, you have different access to equipment. So I know that professional communication and journalism has a lot of audio equipment that are not available to students in fashion, for example. First of all, Paula is probably going to help you with letting you know what equipment is available, or Emma. But the cage that they are talking about is located in RCC. And as you can see, tons of lighting equipment. And for your projects in particular, if you're running an event, for example, and Lorena could be your supervisor or something, she can actually go and get some equipment for you as well, like pipe and drapes, lighting, and so forth.
90% of the time, we were just going to send you to the cage to talk to the cage workers, and because they know better. We don't know the equipment, and they'll figure out what you have access to and what you actually need. Because oftentimes, what I think you need, no, you need something completely different. So always talk to them. They know way more than I do.
And Aiden, to answer your question, yes, you can still rent and borrow equipment. If you are in Toronto, I mean, they won't ship it to you, but they do curbside pick up and drop off.
Yeah.
Lorena, were you going to say something?
Oh yeah, as does the library.
Yeah.
Yes, the library has been open this whole time.
Another space that is open for students is something called Open Space. So Open Space is located in the Image Arts building. It's this cool little nook. It's a part of the Creative Innovation Studio, which is actually just down the street right there. But the Open Space is this really cool area where if you are building something or collaborating on a really cool project that requires a lot of iteration and prototyping, you could be using this space. For example, if you were doing a photo gallery or a photo exhibit and you needed to kind of use some space to see how things would work or look in layout wise, you could be using this space. So it's a huge space where you actually get to rent the space long term so that you can start building things or setting things up and not have to take them down and do that process all over again. So you can actually rent the space for a week, a month, a couple months, up to you. But a lot of our students across FCAD actually use this space to kind of lay things out and see how they work, or actually access expertise. There is a technician on site who can help answer any questions for you and walk you through a couple of things. There's also a spray booth in the back in case you are interested in spray painting. And Lorena has to go. So thank you so much, Lorena, for all of your advice and all of your support.
Happy to be here. I hope to see some of you in creative industries in a couple of years.
In a year.
In a year, yes. Hope so. I hope so. In person.
Thanks so much, Lorena.
Bye, everyone. And enjoy the tour. I was going to say show them the space because it's actually very cool.
Which space?
At the open space over here. They have tools, and there's someone again who can guide you if you need. So that desk over there is of the manager of the space, and they can tell you what tools they have and what you can do with them.
And so this is also open during COVID. They do curbside pickup, and they also do online support. All right, so I have 2 minutes left before everybody is gonna have to leave. So thank you so much. Please let us know if you have any other questions. Oh, I do see one. Creative industry students, do they help with photography students with exhibitions outside of campus? You can, I think.
I think so. If there's a call for volunteers, then you could absolutely volunteer. I know students have been involved in mass exodus.
Yep.
I know the creative industry students started the Ryerson musical theater group. So there's definitely opportunities. I just don't know if they would be involved, in what capacity they would be involved. I think it would have to be a call for volunteers, but yes, probably.
And that's how Gen Z started too, right? Like getting involved in the film kind of realm and media realm. So, all right. Well, thank you so much, Emma.
You're welcome.
At this point, I'm going to throw up some generic slides and call my good friend Samantha back to help us close the session.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much to Emma and Jackie and to all of our amazing guests who stuck around and asked some really great questions. Hopefully you got most of your answers from today's session. So if not, we would love it if you continue to stay connected with us. We have so many different additional opportunities to stay connected with us. All you have to do is check out our Ryerson at Home page to learn more about guided virtual campus tours. We can see more of some of the FCAD facilities. You can book a one-on-one with a current student. We do have some students from the Faculty of Communication and Design on our staff. You can book a meeting with myself or one of my colleagues. One of my colleagues, Ashlyn, is on the line and she deals a lot with the Faculty of Communication and Design. We're both FCAD grads as well, so feel free to book appointments with us. Really, I just encourage you to continue following us on Instagram and participating in these sessions because we have so much information that we would love to share with you to make sure Ryerson is the best fit for you. Also love it if you continue joining us with our open house sessions. I know tomorrow there's some FCAD sessions going on. So if you haven't checked out all of the open house sessions that are going on, all you have to do is go to that Ryerson at Home website to register for additional sessions. If you are a current applicant, be sure to continue checking your Choose Ryerson portal page for all updates and check out the After Applying and Approved Students pages on the Ryerson Admissions website for some really helpful information on your next steps. Should you ever have any questions, we are always here to help. You can connect with us through our service hub by email, phone, social media, live chats, or by using ask.ryerson.ca. Once this session ends, you're also going to be sent a survey to fill out, and we would love it if you filled that out. The survey helps us facilitate what our programming is going to look like in the future, and your feedback is very valuable to us. So on behalf of Ryerson University and the Faculty of Communication and Design, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you continue to stay safe and healthy, and we hope to see you at future sessions. So thanks so much, everyone.